Hi, this is Donna. Welcome to DD Paper Crafts. In today's video, we're going to be making this two-tier triple tray gift box. At the moment, I haven't added a closure to mine as I want to use some wide red ribbon to secure this. I haven't got that, but I didn't want that to stop the production of the box. So the idea is the two flaps lift like so. The lid comes back, there's two smaller trays, and then they fold backwards to show the larger box at the bottom. You can see from my box that these two trays are slightly longer than the depth of this tray when you pull them out. If you don't like that look and you would prefer your trays to run in line with each other, you can adjust the size of my box. So you will need to adjust the size of the biggest box by 1 inch in length and then reduce the size of the two smaller boxes by 1/2 inch. So the largest box would be 6 inches and then these two smaller boxes will be 3 inches by 3 inches. Whereas mine at the moment are 3 by 3.5, so hence when you pull them out you get this 1/2 inch section sticking out. So that is an alternative if you don't like the way this box looks. So my box is 7 by 3 and 1 1/4 inches high, and the smaller boxes are also 1 1/4 inches high. So let me show you how I put the box together. I'm starting with a sheet of cardstock which is 11.5 by 7.5, and this is the bottom tray of the box, which is a reinforced tray because the two smallest trays will sit on top of this box. This cardstock size is not large enough for the reinforcement to cover the whole of the side panel, so it is possible if you don't have cardstock this size to have your reinforced element shorter than the sides of the box. Along the long side, score at 1, 2 1/4, 9 1/4, and 10 1/2. And on the short side, score at 1, 2 1/4, 5 1/4, and 6 1/2. Fold and burnish all of the score lines. So we're going to start with our piece in a portrait position, and we're going to cut up each of the vertical score lines through the first horizontal up to the second horizontal. And we will end up with these 5 tabs. Rotate the piece. We're going to remove the end 2 squares and remove the bottom rectangle like so. We're going to cut away the end square like so. Rotate and repeat at the other side. So we're going to cut away the 2 end squares and then cut away the 1 end square. So your end will look like this, and then from the 2 smaller squares we're going to cut a wedge. And make sure that on these side pieces you do remove the score lines because it will give you a better fit. So this is our box base. I'm going to add glue to these 4 smaller tabs. You might want to fold back these 2 outer side pieces just to make life easier. Fold up and in the tabs, pull up the end and secure your end into place. Flip that up and burnish the tabs. Repeat at the other end. And then I'm going to add glue to the reinforcement panels and push those to the inside of the box. Flip the box up and just burnish those down. So we're now going to make the two boxes which sit on the top, and if you do decide to resize the tray to any size, the thing to bear in mind is the two smaller boxes need to each be half the length of this box, of the larger box. If you're going to make your two smaller trays the same height, you'll need two pieces which are 6 by 5.5, and on all four sides score at 1.25 of an inch. Fold and burnish along the score lines. If you want to make these as reinforced trays, obviously you can, you'll just need to adjust the size of your cardstock accordingly. We're going to create a simple tray, cut up the first vertical score line to the horizontal, cut a wedge from the sides to create your glue tab, and you want to repeat that process on all four corners. Add glue to the smaller tabs and pull up the corners to make your tray. So each tray will sit on the top like so. For the wrap which will run along the outside of the top boxes, I have a piece which is 7.5 by 2.5. So it's the height of the two trays when they sit on top of one another. We need to allow for the fact that the wrap is going to run around the boxes. I've got a piece of scrap cardstock, which is the same as I'm using, folded in half, and I'm going to butt it in against the top left-hand corner of my scoreboard. Push the card in up against it, and when you remove the additional piece, you'll see that it leaves a gap which is about a 1/16 of an inch. I'm therefore going to score at 3 5/8 of an inch and 6 5/8 of an inch. And you'll see when we push the cardstock back, that's moved our score lines back level with the downward notch, which will give us the additional 1/16 of an inch we need to wrap around. Do that on both pieces. Fold and burnish the score lines, and we're going to sit our left-hand hinge. So this is going to attach to the outer wrap, and the wrap is going to adhere around the side and the front at the top of this tray. And you should find with that little extra we've given, your piece wraps around. I'm going to add glue to the front of the box. Take my wrap, and I want to make sure that the top of the wrap is lined up with the top of the tray. Once that's in place, I'm going to burnish. And then I'm going to add glue to the side of the box and repeat the process. And at the moment, the hinge has no glue on it whatsoever. So make sure that the top of the wrap and the top of the box are level, and again go in and burnish. So this box will sit on top, and then the wrap encloses and conceals the tray at the bottom. We're now going to work on the right hand side. So your hinge is going to sit in the other direction. So these two will sit on the front like so. They were hinged at the back, and then they will pull out to the side. So we'll now work on the wrap element. I've got a piece which is 9 by 7.25, and you can actually cut this to 8 by 7.25. You will see later in the video that my piece is actually too long. However, this doesn't affect the way we construct the lid. And before I put each score line in, I'm going to actually wrap it around the boxes to make sure it fits. So my first score line is at 1/2 inch, and this is going to be my glue tab, which is going to attach my two pieces together. So fold and burnish, and don't do as I do and fold and burnish on your scoreboard, because you will get wrinkles on your cardstock, especially if it's metallic. I'm going to lay my 1/2 inch tab down and sit my base tray on top. Take the two smaller trays, sit those on top of the base tray, push the hinges to the back, and I'm going to sit my piece on top of the glue tab with the longest card wrapped around the back, and then make a pencil mark above the double height of the tray. Paste the piece back in the scoreboard, move the pencil line to a track, and then I'm going to score. I know that this section in the middle here is long enough to go behind the trays. Take your piece, sit it against the glue tab, wrap around the back, which we've just scored, flip the piece over, make sure everything's lined up, pull the wrap around, flip the piece over, and again make a pencil mark. Line the pencil mark up with a track and score and burnish. And for the second part of the base, I've got another piece which is 7 1/4 by 4 1/2. I'm going to sit the box up against the back edge of the piece of cardstock and just mark the front edge. Line the pencil mark up with a track and score. Fold and burnish. Now this piece is going to come around the front, so you can have this as long or as short as you want. I'm going to glue the two pieces together. I'm going to use red liner tape because this is shiny cardstock. Cut a wedge from the end of that glue tab and join up the two pieces. Take your tray. You're going to add glue to the bottom of the tray and sit it into the base piece. If you have cut your wrap slightly wider, make sure it's sitting so you've got an equal distance at either end. The front flap pulls around nicely and the back pulls around nicely, and you can just see there my bobbles there from where I burnished on my scoreboard. Burnish that into place. Take your smaller box, add glue to the 1-inch hinge, sit the two smaller boxes on the top of the base tray. Make sure they're sitting squarely in place. I'm going to hold those, and then once I'm happy with the position, I'm going to hold those in place and then bring up the back panel. Once I know that's in place, I'm going to flip that over, bring the top round. I can see that everything fits, and you want to keep that in place until those hinges are dry. I'm just going to go in and burnish those and set that aside. Once you're convinced it's dry, fold back the back hinge just to push that into different direction. You then want to add glue to the back of the base tray and adhere it to the back of the wrap, but I will add an additional piece of cardstock behind before I do that. Here's my decorated box. The wrap fits round really nicely. I've added DSP to the top and the front. I've used an embossing folder from the Textures range, which is the vintage Christmas plaid embossing folder. I've decorated the insides of the trays and the trays at the bottom, and I did cover the back panel before I added glue to the back of the larger box. Overall, I'm really happy with how this box has come out. With the DSP now added on top with the construction glue, It's a very substantial box, and I think it's got a really lovely look to it. And of course, you can resize this. You just need to consider the sizes of your smaller tray against the sizes of your larger tray. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. And until next time, thanks for watching.